Daniel, a single dad working long shifts at a delivery warehouse, was hurrying to pick up his daughter Lily from school when he saw a woman sitting on the sidewalk, trembling with fear and struggling to breathe. Her hands shook as she tried to call someone, but the phone kept slipping from her grasp. Daniel knew stopping meant risking his job. He had already been warned about being late again, but something in her eyes, that silent plea of, "Please, don't leave me," pulled him back. Lily could wait a few more minutes, he told himself, but this woman looked like she might not make it that long. He crouched beside her, offering calm words, trying to figure out what had happened. She whispered, barely audible, that someone had stolen her bag and pushed her down. Daniel didn't hesitate. He picked her up gently and guided her to his car, praying he wasn't making a mistake that could cost him everything. As Daniel drove her to the nearest clinic, the woman struggled to remain conscious. She kept apologizing, saying she didn't want to cause trouble. Daniel reassured her, his voice steady even though his heart raced with worry for both her and Lily waiting alone. Traffic crept forward painfully slow, and he tapped the steering wheel anxiously. He couldn't call the warehouse because his phone had died earlier. He knew his manager wouldn't believe him anyway. Excuses were something they didn't tolerate from a struggling single father who was already on the edge. But looking at the woman's pale face, he knew turning away wasn't an option, even if it meant losing the only income he had. He pressed harder on the gas the moment the road cleared. When they reached the clinic, Daniel carried her inside and shouted for help. Nurses rushed toward them, placing her on a stretcher and asking rapid questions. Daniel tried to explain everything, how he found her, what she told him, and her symptoms. They thanked him, but the words did little to calm the storm in Daniel's mind. He checked the clock on the wall. He was already an hour late. Lily must be sitting on the sidewalk outside her school, wondering where her dad was. His heart twisted painfully. He asked the receptionist to watch the woman for a moment so he could leave, but before he could exit, a nurse called him back, saying the woman was asking for him. Daniel walked into the small treatment room where she lay, hooked to monitors but finally breathing more steadily. Her voice was weak, but she managed a grateful smile. She asked for his name, and he told her simply, "Daniel, I was just passing by." She shook her head and whispered that he had saved her life. Daniel didn't know how to respond. He just nodded awkwardly, eager to get back to his daughter. He wished her well and hurried out, sprinting to the car. Lily was always patient, but she was still just a child, and Daniel hated the idea of her feeling abandoned even for a moment. By the time Daniel reached the school, Lily was sitting on the curb hugging her backpack tightly, her eyes red. When she saw her dad's car, she ran to him and clung to his shirt. "Daddy, I thought you forgot me," she whispered, trembling. Daniel hugged her tightly, apologizing again and again. He told her that he helped a lady who was hurt and that he didn't mean to be late. Lily, with her small heart full of love, simply nodded and held his hand. When they drove home, Daniel saw the warehouse's number calling him. He answered with dread. The manager's voice was cold. He told Daniel not to bother coming in tomorrow. He was terminated effective immediately. That night, Daniel sat on the couch in silence while Lily drew pictures on the floor, unaware of the magnitude of their new problem. Losing his job meant rent would be impossible, food would become a struggle, and their fragile life would begin to crumble. Daniel buried his face in his hands, wondering if helping that stranger was the right choice. Lily climbed onto his lap, hugging him without a word. Her simple gesture brought tears to his eyes. He kept replaying the moment, that desperate look on the woman's face, the silent plea for help. He knew he couldn't have walked away. Even without a job, he would make it somehow. He had to, for Lily. The next morning, a black car pulled up outside their small apartment. Daniel peered through the curtain, confused. He wasn't expecting anyone. A well-dressed man stepped out and walked toward the door, knocking politely. When Daniel opened it, the man introduced himself as the assistant to the CEO of a major corporation. Daniel froze, unsure if he heard correctly. The assistant said the CEO wanted to meet him immediately. Daniel hesitated, thinking it was some mistake, but the assistant insisted the CEO was extremely eager to see him. Daniel arrived at a towering glass building that looked nothing like the places he was used to. Inside, everything gleamed, marble floors, golden elevators, polished wood. Lily held his hand tightly, her eyes wide with awe. They were escorted upstairs to the top floor, where a woman in a business suit stood waiting. Daniel's jaw dropped when he recognized her. It was the same woman he had helped the day before. She looked completely different now, strong, confident, composed. She smiled warmly and said, "Daniel, I didn't get to tell you properly yesterday, but you saved my life. And I owe you more than you know." She explained that she was the CEO of a multimillion-dollar company and that the attack had been targeted. Someone was trying to scare her before a major corporate decision. If Daniel hadn't stopped to help, she might not have survived. She then handed Daniel a folder containing a job offer with a salary higher than anything he had ever imagined. Not just any job, a management position with full benefits, childcare support, and even housing assistance. Daniel stared at the papers, unable to speak. Lily looked up at him with big, hopeful eyes. The CEO added softly, "People like you, people who choose kindness even when it costs them everything, are the kind of people I want in my company." Daniel felt tears prick his eyes as he accepted the offer. Lily hugged his leg, overjoyed. The CEO bent down, smiling at her, and said, "Your dad is a hero." For the first time in a long time, Daniel felt the weight of fear lifting from his chest. Helping a stranger had nearly cost him his job, his stability, and his peace, but in the end, fate had seen his heart. As he and Lily walked out of the building hand in hand, Daniel whispered, "Everything is going to be okay now." And for once, he truly believed it.